something left by an aircraft, and then you will see the whole sky loaded up with clouds. There's never one alike, but you will notice the streaks in the beginning slowly start spreading out. You may be well aware that we are having in our possession, and I say our because as humans, but beyond, but beyond that, and more than anything, they are in control of what we eat, what we see, and how we look at time. The amount of additives that they add to the food, so our pineal food, so our pineal gland will not be capable of doing the job that's supposed to, which is to hold information that we learn. That desire for somebody that wants to learn something new, they may obtain it in small doses, but the brain is not capable of holding it. Through everything that we eat, especially all those fast food restaurants that we go to, the moment we begin to do our own food and prepare it in the best and healthiest ways, that day we are going to start doing and giving ourselves the best health. Humans were not made to eat meat. Did you know that? Our body becomes so intoxicated as milk is allowed to go to a process to make the cheese. It's called rotten milk. Literally, that's the name it should be to all cheeses. There is a long fight that the body has to go through to clean up in order for our body to process everything that we are putting down in our tummy. Because I like this from this place, the recipe. I have seen places that they call it keto recipes. All are supposed to be keto. And yet, where they buy their eggs, their meats, it's not an organic place. It's one of those big places, and I will reserve the right to hold that name because I choose to not make advertising for places that the prices are already so outrageous, on top of the stuff not being healthy for us. The climate, those aerosols that are spit out through an aircraft to control the weather, it's with the same purpose to control our mind. For us to not think about nothing else and say, oh, the weather this day is being this way. But who truly knows what their true value and their true mission in life is, will not put any excuse and allow that small group of people to control what we do and how we do it. Their only intention is for us to spend the most for the least that we are given. The least healthiest, as humans are not capable of being in the possibility of obtaining that real nutrition by eating meat, as any animal that bleeds, it's not meant for us. It's not meant for our body to process that. We are meant to eat as much raw, unprocessed food. That's where we obtain the true value, the energy that our body should have. And I say it should have because it is difficult for most people to train themselves into thinking, what am I feeding my brain? What am I feeding my body? As you very well know, farmers are having a lot of trouble selling their meat. They are the ones that groom those animals, processed the meat, and when it comes for them to sell it, I have a couple friends, they had to go through bankruptcy. One of them was at the verge of taking his life because he could no longer sustain his family. He had to give up his farm. And he thought, how am I going to be able to support my family? It is my responsibility. But he was overwhelmed with the frustration. The bank always requesting that money for this payment, that money for this loan. And at the end of the month, there was barely anything for him to feed his family. So now I ask you, do you care about living your life for the longest time possible? And how do you plan on surviving? So many times was said, the world is gonna end by the year 2000. And many other occasions and many other years were mentioned. The world, it's not gonna end, but we are going through a transformation. Until we accept that we may not know enough about ourselves, that's when we are gonna start searching. What are we supposed to do? What is my mission in life? Some see it as, I gotta have a family, take care of my family, get married, have a girlfriend, then get married and have children. That is part, but the biggest part of your mission is for you to take care of yourself. You accepted a pact where you would come with no memory and learn and end up choosing what and which way you were gonna go. The right way, the halfway, or the highway, and not care about anything that is related to your life. 200 million years ago, that's when life began. You may have heard that already. So how is it possible that we have lived since 200 million years ago and we don't even get to become or live past 100 years? Because that small group has been manipulating things to where the education has been set at the minimum, enough to train you to be a slave. Can you imagine that? I gotta go to school so I can learn something and become something become good at something so I can get a job. The word salary comes from the ancient Rome as in salary. The soldiers used to get paid with salt. Now it's paper bills. Selling your time for how much? $10? $20? $50? At the end of the month, how much money do you have left? And with the changes of weather, you have a job, you gotta keep a job. Whether or not the weather is good, you have got to complete and fulfill your responsibility of being a slave. That's what you have been trained for. But this time, there's a difference that though that group is not going to be allowed to continue manipulating us without us knowing. There's too many of us that know what they have been doing. And what we know is that we got to focus on us. Open your heart, love yourself, breathe energy, protect your energy. I will be back later on.